Hey there, I'm here today to do a March of the Mammoths update video. We are now in our final push of the readathon. We're in the last week, and while I've been really enjoying myself this month, I'm also extremely excited to see that finish line in sight. So I'm hoping I can keep my reading up so that I can finish all of the books that I set out to read at the start of the month. But I am excited to report back that I have officially finished my first mammoth-sized read last week, which was of course Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. In my last update video, I only had 100 pages left to go, so I already knew that I was very fond of this book and that I was very glad that I chose it for this reading experience. But man, those last 100 pages really cemented it for me, how much I loved reading this book, because those last 100 pages were like an emotional tour de force for me. I went through a really intense emotional experience. There were lots of tears, so I think that that's a sign of a really great book for me. If I can be so engaged intellectually while reading something, I feel like Hugo had a lot to teach me about history at the time, but also he really emotionally invested me in those characters that he created. So I think that that's the sign of a truly great book, something that gives you a lot to think about and a lot of things to feel. So even though this book has emotionally scarred me, I'm so glad that I chose to read it this month for this readathon. I had been putting off this one for a while because of its size, but now that I have finally put in the time and given it a chance, it is one of my new favorite classic reads. So that's exactly what I was hoping to achieve with this readathon. So totally happened with Les Miserables. I also watched the film adaptation of the musical last weekend, so that was kind of a fun experience. I mean, I think it's hard to enjoy the musical knowing so much about the book because it just feels simultaneously like it's way too short and they're skipping so much about the story, and yet in some ways it seems way too long because they're just dragging in these really slow tempo songs. So I wasn't the biggest fan of the musical, but it was still fun to actually get to visualize some of the scenes that happen in the book. I liked the acting performances and I liked making the comparisons. So I'm looking forward to watching some more adaptations in the future. It's just such a good story, so I'm excited to see what different filmmakers do with this epic tale. As for my other mammoth-sized reads, I'm about 100 pages away from finishing both the Brontes and the Luminaries. So the Luminaries is one that I've just been slowly dragging my way through all month. I picked this one up because I thought that this was going to be my fast-paced read. Originally, I thought that I could get through this book in like a week or so, but that really hasn't been the case. It has taken me the whole month to get through this one. I just haven't had the best of luck getting immersed into this story, and I think it was unfortunate that I was reading it at the same time as Les Miserables, which was a story that just grabbed me so completely. This book is just a very different style of reading experience, and it's not one that I am completely in love with. So I do enjoy myself while I'm reading this book. It's not like it's terrible and I hate reading it, but it's just not a book that I'm really burning to continue reading. It is more of a mystery-based book, so I guess I'm just not invested enough in the situation or the characters to really care about where this is all going or how it's gonna end. So I do only have 100 pages left. I have also noticed that the last 100 pages seem to be like very short, so it's written in these like short chapters, so I think that they're gonna go by very quickly, so I think it's pretty likely that I am gonna finish this one tonight. So we'll see if the ending sort of ties it all together in a way that would make me impressed with this book, but overall so far I've had a just okay reading experience with this one, and I'm ready for it to be done. As for the Brontes, this is the book that I've just been thoroughly enjoying all month. I really look forward to that chapter a day that I've been reading, although this one got real sad real fast. I wasn't prepared. I didn't really know that so many of the Bronte siblings died within a year of each other, so that was just like traumatic almost to read about. I mean, like, you know that they're all dead, right? This is happening in the 1800s, and yet just reading about the details of the death and how that affected Charlotte Bronte to survive all of her siblings. It was just a really harrowing passage of this biography to read about, so that was just really upsetting. And now for like the last 250 pages of the book. It's just like Charlotte on her own. So I'm getting close to the end. I think she's gonna get married soon, and I know that she doesn't have that much longer left with us. So it's kind of sad that it's all coming to a close in a way. This is just a very well-researched and well-crafted biography. I've been really enjoying learning so many details about the Brontes, and I'm sad that it's all gonna be coming to a close very quickly. And lastly, I have my mysterious fourth mammoth to tell you about. Last week, I thought that I was leaning towards picking up Life and Fate by Vasily Grossman, but I started reading this one. I read the whole introduction and the first 20 pages, and I realized that I was not in the right place to read this after finishing Les Miserables, because that book was like a really emotionally draining reading experience. It was so epic and intense. And then I thought, I can't really go into this book giving it everything that it deserves. After reading the first 20 pages, I realized that it was going to be very heavy and bleak, and it just wasn't the kind of book I wanted to end this readathon on. I didn't think that this was going to be the kind of book that I could sit down and read a lot of pages all at once. This is one that is going to deserve more time and slowly working my way through. So I am going to save this for another time. After putting down Life and Fate, I decided to try a true novel by Minae Mizumura. My edition looks small because it's broken into 2 copies. This is around 850 pages, and I'm now on page 160. So I still do have about 700 pages left to go, and not a lot of days left in this month, so I'm not sure that I'll be able to finish this one. But from what I've been finding, it is a very fast-paced read, so it is easy to read a lot in one sitting, so I'm excited about that. And this is a book where I'm already 160 pages in, but it actually hasn't properly started yet. This book is pretty meta in the beginning. It describes the upbringing of a girl named Minae Mizumura, who of course shares a name with the author, and she's talking about how her family immigrated from Japan to New York, and talking about her experiences growing up. And in particular, the story is focused around this mysterious man who is acquainted with Minae's father. He has no formal education, but he starts working for Minae's father's business, and he starts rising in the ranks, and he becomes this millionaire, and everyone's talking about him, and then he disappears. And then one day this stranger shows up and wants to tell Minae his life story. So he's going to tell her all about what happened with this man. She listens to the story. She knows that this is a novel that she has to write. And she has realized that there are a lot of parallels in his story to Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. So it's definitely an unconventional start to the novel, kind of presenting this as a true story while also recognizing that it has these like classic fictional elements as well. So I'm excited to continue on with this one and to see what is going to happen next. So I'm not sure that I'll be able to finish it by the end of this month, but I am going to give it my best shot. So that's where I am so far, going into my final few days of the March of the Mammoths readathon. Let me know how you've been doing. Have you finished any mammoths? Are you getting close to finishing any? Has anyone developed carpal tunnel in their wrists after picking up such beastly sized books? I'm seriously jealous of all of you who've been commenting that you've been doing this on an e-reader. Wish I had one of those. It is moments like these where I think it would come in really handy. Anyway, thanks for checking in. I hope you're doing well, and I will see you again at the end of the month.